Fleet Admiral Sujin stood on the bridge of her flagship Eternal Vigilance, watching the largest alien armada ever assembled approach the Sol system. 317 ships from 7 different species had come together to face what they called the human threat. The irony was not lost on her that it had taken the threat of human military power to finally unite the galaxy. The coalition fleet spread across space like a metal cloud. Each ship bristled with weapons designed to crack planets and boil atmospheres. The Vorthon dreadnoughts looked like flying cities covered in gun turrets. The Kalari battlespheres pulsed with contained energy that could melt asteroids. The crystalline Ashvari ships glowed with internal fire that turned matter into pure energy. Leading this massive force was High Chancellor Vex himself aboard his personal command ship. The same alien who had insulted humanity at the peace talks was now coming to destroy the human home system. He had convinced 6 other species to join his crusade against what he called human aggression. Admiral Sujin had been waiting for this moment. She commanded a fleet of only 60 ships compared to the aliens' 300, but she was not worried. The human vessels floating around her were not the disguised warships that had shocked the galaxy at the Zenthari battle. These were the real military ships that humanity had been building in secret for 3 centuries. Commander Youngsu studied the tactical display showing the approaching alien formation, Admiral. They outnumber us more than 5 to 1. Should we contact Earth for reinforcements? Admiral Sujin smiled, and her crew felt a chill of anticipation. No need, Commander. Let me show our guests what 300 years of hidden military development can accomplish. The alien fleet came to a stop just outside the orbit of Pluto High. Chancellor Vex opened a communication channel to all human ships. His voice carried the same arrogance that had started this whole conflict. Humans, he announced, you will immediately surrender your advanced weapons technology and submit to galactic oversight. Your recent acts of aggression prove that your species cannot be trusted with military power. Comply, or face the consequences. Admiral Sujin activated her own communication system. Her voice was calm and clear as it reached every ship in both fleets. Consequences, she said thoughtfully. You speak to us of consequences. Very well. Let us discuss consequences. What happened next would be studied in military academies for generations, assuming any survived to build them. The human ships did not charge forward like brave warriors in ancient stories. Instead, they simply vanished. The alien sensors showed empty space where 60 human warships had been floating just moments before. Panicked voices filled the coalition communication channels as alien commanders tried to locate the missing human fleet. Then the human ships reappeared, but not where anyone expected them. They materialized inside the alien formation, scattered among the coalition vessels like wolves among sheep. The aliens had been so focused on the approaching battle that they never considered the humans might already be among them. Human weapons were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Instead of the crude energy beams and explosive missiles that aliens used, human technology worked on principles that seemed to ignore the laws of physics. Ships simply stopped working, as if some invisible hand had reached inside them and turned them off. A Vorthon heavy cruiser found its engines dying for no apparent reason. The crew ran through their systems trying to find what was wrong, but everything appeared normal except that nothing worked. A Kalari battlesphere watched its shields flicker and fail while its weapons powered down one by one. The most terrifying weapon in the human arsenal was something they called a reality anchor. It was a device that could change the fundamental forces of physics in a small area around a target. One Ashvari crystal ship discovered that the strong nuclear force holding its atoms together had been adjusted. The ship did not explode. It simply stopped being solid and drifted, apart like colored smoke. But the moment that broke the alien coalition spirit came when Admiral Sujin decided to demonstrate just how restrained humanity had been. The human destroyer. Absolute Zero approached a dead moon that orbited a gas giant near the battle. The small ship fired a single beam at the lifeless rock. The moon did not shatter or melt. Instead, it began to collapse in on itself, as the human weapon disabled the electromagnetic forces that kept matter stable. The satellite compressed into a sphere the size of a city block but with the mass of the original moon. It blazed like a small star as the compressed matter generated incredible heat and light. This is what restraint looks like. Admiral Sujin broadcast to the surviving alien ships. For 3 centuries, we could have done this to any world that opposed us. Instead, we chose diplomacy. We chose peace. You have mistaken our kindness for weakness and our patience for submission. The coalition fleet was in complete chaos, half. Their ships were disabled and drifting helplessly in space. The other half were trying to retreat, but found that human vessels appeared wherever they tried to run. The aliens discovered that their enemies could move through space in ways that made no sense. A group of Kalari ships tried to escape by jumping to faster than light speed. They emerged from their jump to find human ships already waiting for them. The humans had somehow predicted exactly where the aliens would appear and were ready. With weapons charged, High Chancellor Vex watched his grand coalition fall apart around him. His own command ship was surrounded by 6 human vessels that had appeared without warning. His weapons would not fire, his shields were failing, and his engines were dead in space. How he transmitted to Admiral Sujin. "How are you doing this? Your technology should not be possible." Possible is a word used by species who think they understand the universe. Admiral Sujin replied, "We have been studying reality for 3 centuries while you played at politics and war. We learned to bend the rules you think are absolute." The surviving alien ships that could still move began to surrender. They had come to crush human resistance but found themselves facing opponents who treated the laws of physics as suggestions. The coalition that had been assembled to destroy humanity was begging for mercy. After less than 4 hours of combat, Admiral Sujin accepted their surrender, but her terms were harsh. Every alien ship that had participated in the attack was to be escorted to the nearest human base for inspection. Their weapons would be removed, and their crews would be held until their governments agreed to formal peace treaties. The news of the coalition defeat spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. Species that had been planning to join the attack against humanity quietly withdrew their support. The Makan Federation announced they were seeking peaceful relations with Earth, the Aquarian Deep. Council offered to open their most sacred underwater cities to human visitors. But the most important message came from the Galactic Council itself. The same organization that had watched humans walk away in disgust now sent a formal request for humanity to return to the peacekeeping role. The response from Earth was swift and final. Humanity will maintain galactic peace, but it will be peace on human terms. The age of human service to ungrateful aliens is over. The age of human authority has begun. In the wreckage floating around the Sol system, rescue ships moved carefully among the disabled alien vessels. They saved the crews and provided medical care to the wounded. Even in victory, humanity showed the mercy that had made them good diplomats. But everyone in the galaxy now understood that this mercy was a choice, not a weakness, and choices could always be changed. The coalition had come to Sol to destroy the human threat. Instead, they had proven that the threat was real, and that humanity had been holding back for 3 centuries out of kindness. That kindness was running out. Captain Minho sat in his command chair aboard the patrol ship Starlight, watching the communication console flash with incoming messages. His ship floated near the edge of Kalari space, where the border met the vast emptiness between star systems. 3 weeks had passed since humanity walked away from the Galactic Council, and the first shots had finally been fired. The messages kept coming in desperate voices begging for human help. Vorthan commanders screaming about Kalari sneak attacks, Kalari captains crying for assistance as their ships burned in space. Both sides expected the humans to appear at any moment like they always had, before Minho reached over and deleted another distress call without listening to it all. His communications. Officer Una watched him with worried eyes. "She was young and had never seen a galaxy at war, sir," she said quietly. "Should we not at least tell them we received their messages?" "No," Minho replied. His voice was as cold as the space around them. "They made it very clear they do not need our help. Let them solve their own problems." Through the main window they could see flashes of light in the distance where the 2 alien fleets were destroying each other. Red beams of Vorthan energy weapons crossed, blue streams of Kalari plasma cannons Ships exploded in bright flowers of fire that faded quickly in the airless void. Unha had never seen real space combat before. The training simulations had not prepared her for the terrible beauty of it, the way ships broke apart in slow motion, the way debris scattered in perfect silence, the way escape pods drifted like tiny seeds hoping to find safety. The fighting had started exactly as everyone predicted. The Vorthans attacked, first claiming they were defending themselves from Kalari aggression. The Kalari responded by calling in their reserve fleets. Both sides sent messages to the human diplomatic corps, demanding immediate mediation. But this time, the messages went unanswered. On Earth, President Taehyun stood in the emergency command center deep beneath the city of Seoul. The room was filled with screens showing conflicts breaking out across the galaxy. Red dots marked active battles. Yellow dots showed growing tensions. Orange dots indicated trade routes that had been abandoned. Defense Minister Hyok pointed to a large display that showed the spreading chaos. 17 separate conflicts have started since we withdrew. He reported the Zenthari are attacking Makan shipping lanes. The Ashvari have declared war on 3 different species at once. The Outer Rim territories are in complete chaos. President Taehyun nodded slowly. He was an old man who had spent his life trying to keep peace between the stars. Now he was watching that peace crumble in real-time casualties. He asked. Conservative estimates put civilian deaths at over 2 million. And rising. Hyok replied. Most of the fighting is happening in populated systems. The aliens are targeting each other. Civilian populations. The room fell quiet. Everyone knew what those numbers meant. Entire cities were being wiped out. Families were dying because ancient enemies had no one to stop them from killing each other. Admiral Su-Yung entered the command center carrying a tablet full of new reports. Her uniform was wrinkled and her eyes were red from lack of sleep. The situation is getting worse, she announced. Trade has collapsed completely. Merchant ships are afraid to leave port. Entire star systems are cutting themselves off from the galaxy to avoid getting involved in the fighting. What about our colonies? President Taehyun asked. Safe for now, Admiral Su-Yung replied, but we are getting thousands of requests for protection from alien worlds. Every species that used to mock our diplomatic efforts is now begging us to save them. On Mars, the colonial governor Jamin watched alien refugee ships arrive at the orbital stations. They came in damaged vessels, overcrowded and desperate. Their own governments could not protect them, so they fled to human space, hoping for mercy. The irony was not lost on him. These same aliens had laughed at human weakness just months before. Now they were begging humans for shelter. Their ships were searched and their weapons were taken away before they were allowed to dock. A group of Makan traders approached Governor Jamin in the main docking bay. Their leader was an old female with gray fur and sad eyes. Please, she said in broken human language. We have families. We just want safety. We pay anything. Jamin looked at the group of refugees. They were merchants, not soldiers. They had done nothing wrong except belong to species that could not stop fighting. You can stay, he said. But you follow human rules on human territory. No weapons, no fighting. If you cause trouble, you leave. The Makan trader nodded quickly. Yes, yes. Human rules. We understand. We be good back in space. Captain Minho received a new type of message. This one was not a distress call. It was a demand. The 4th Han High Command ordered him to report to their nearest base for questioning. They claimed human ships were spying on their military operations. Yuna read the message aloud. Her voice shook as she reached the end. They are threatening to attack us if we do not comply. Sir Minho almost laughed. The Vorthans still thought they could give orders to humans. Even after humanity had walked away from their service, they expected obedience. Send a reply, he ordered. Tell them we decline their invitation. But, sir, what if they attack us? Then they will learn something new about humans, Minho replied. The next message came from the Kalari. They also demanded that human ships report for questioning. They claimed humans were helping their enemies by not helping them. Both sides wanted human assistance, but only on their own terms. More reports came in from across the galaxy. The crystalline Ashvari had attacked a space station, killing thousands. The bird-like Skylords were bombing Aquarian underwater cities. The insect hive minds were expanding their territory by eating entire colonies. Every conflict that humans had prevented through careful diplomacy was now happening at once. Species that had been kept apart by human mediation were meeting in battle. For the first time in centuries, they had forgotten how to talk to each other. They only remembered how to fight in the Galactic Council station, where this had all started. The great chamber sat empty. Most representatives had fled back to their home worlds to deal with the wars. The few who remained sent message after message to Earth begging for human negotiators to return. But Earth was silent. On the bridge of his patrol ship, Captain Minho watched another explosion light up the darkness. Kalari cruiser had just died, taking 300 lives with it. Tomorrow there would be more explosions, more deaths, more desperate calls for help that would go unanswered. Unha stared at the tactical display showing the spread of conflicts across known space. "How long do you think this will last?" she asked. "Until they learn." Minho replied, "Learn what, sir? That humans were never their servants. We were their protectors, and protectors can choose to stop protecting." The galaxy was burning, and for the first time in 3 centuries, humans were letting it burn. The silence from Earth spoke louder than any words could. The species who had dismissed human diplomacy as weakness were discovering what the galaxy looked like without human strength holding it together, and in that discovery they were beginning to fear. Commander Dongmin stood on the bridge of his battle cruiser Indomitable, staring at the wreckage floating in space before him. What had once been trading post Harmony was now nothing but twisted metal and frozen air. The small human outpost had housed 47 civilians who sold supplies to passing ships and maintained a communication relay. 3 days ago, Zenthari raiders had attacked the peaceful station. The aliens had demanded tribute from the human traders. When the humans explained, they were neutral and had no military value. The Zenthari had laughed and destroyed everything anyway. They killed every person on the station and took whatever supplies they wanted. Now Dongmin floated in the debris field, looking at the remains of people he had known. The station manager, Kyungho, had been a friend from the academy. His wife, Mirai, had made the best coffee in 3-star systems. Their daughter, Yeji, was only 12 years old. The bridge crew of the Indomitable worked in complete silence. They had seen the recordings from the station security cameras before the Zenthari destroyed them. The aliens had not just killed the humans quickly, they had made them suffer. They had laughed while doing it. Communications. Officer Jisoo broke the silence, "Commander. We have an incoming transmission from the Zenthari High Command put it through," Dongmin said without taking his eyes off the wreckage. The main screen flickered and showed a Zenthari admiral. The alien looked like a giant insect with 4 arms and compound eyes that reflected light like broken glass. His mandibles clicked as he spoke in the arrogant tone all Zenthari used when talking to other species, "Human vessel." He said, "You are in Zenthari territorial space state. Your business or withdraw immediately." Dongmin turned to face the screen. His expression was calm, but his crew could see something dangerous in his eyes. "My business is justice. You attacked our people. You killed our civilians. We are here to collect payment." The Zenthari admiral made a sound that might have been laughter. "Payment. Humans do not dictate terms to the Zenthari Republic. Your kind exists to mediate and negotiate. If you have complaints, file them with the Galactic Council. The time for filing complaints has ended," Dongmin replied. Something in his voice made the Zenthari stop laughing. The alien admiral leaned forward, studying the human through the communication link. "You threaten us, little human. Do you know how many ships we have in this system? Do you see our battle stations?" "I see targets," Dongmin said and cut the transmission. What happened next would be talked about in hushed voices across the galaxy for generations. The human ship that had appeared to be a simple battle cruiser suddenly revealed its true nature. Panels slid away from the hull, exposing weapons that no alien had ever seen before. Energy readings spiked to levels that should have been impossible. The Zenthari had 12 warships in the system, including 2 massive dreadnoughts that could level cities. Each ship was 3 times the size of the human cruiser, and carried enough firepower to destroy a small moon. The aliens expected an easy victory. Instead, they witnessed something that changed their understanding of reality. The Indomitable moved like nothing they had ever seen. It did not just fly through space, it seemed to dance around their weapons' fire. Energy beams that should have destroyed it simply passed through empty space where the HFY ship had been a split second before. When the human ship fired back, the results were terrifying. Beams of pure white light cut through Zenthari's shields like they were made of paper. The alien ships did not just explode, they came apart in perfect, geometric pieces as if some invisible force was taking them apart bolt by bolt. The largest Zenthari dreadnought tried to ram the human ship. It was a desperate move born of panic and confusion. But the Indomitable simply vanished from in front of the massive alien vessel and reappeared behind it. A single shot from the human weapons turned the dreadnought into a cloud of glowing particles. In less than 6 hours, the entire Zenthari border fleet was gone. Not destroyed exactly, but taken apart, so completely that the pieces would drift in space for centuries. The aliens had been given a demonstration of what human military technology could actually do. When the gloves came off, On-Earth Intelligence Director Nari sat in her office monitoring communication networks across the galaxy. Her screens showed the reaction to the Zenthari incident spreading like wildfire through alien space. Every species was talking about what they had just witnessed. The Makan High Council has requested an emergency session, she reported to President Taehyun during their daily briefing. They want to discuss concerning developments in human military capability. President Taehyun was reading reports from other human colonies. Similar attacks on human civilians had been planned by 3 other alien species. All of those plans had been quietly canceled after news of the Zenthari defeat spread. Tell them we will consider their request when our schedule permits. It was the kind of response that would have been impossible just months ago. When humans served as galactic mediators, they had to be available immediately whenever aliens demanded their attention. Now the same aliens who had treated humans like servants were being told to wait. The Fourth Empire sent an urgent message demanding to know how humans had developed such advanced weapons. They claimed it violated dozens of galactic treaties about military technology development. They wanted inspections of human space. The reply from Earth was brief. Humans withdrew from those treaties when we withdrew from galactic mediation. We are no longer bound by agreements made to serve others across the galaxy. Alien military commanders were having emergency meetings. Species that had never worked together were suddenly sharing intelligence about human capabilities. The comfortable assumption that humans were weak diplomats had been shattered in a few hours of combat. But the most disturbing part for the aliens was not just that humans had hidden their true military power for centuries. It was how easily they had done it. Every human ship that aliens had seen as a harmless trader or research vessel was now suspect. How many of them were actually warships in disguise? The Kalari voice of Storm sent a formal message to Earth. The tone was very different from the arrogant demands they had made before. We wish to open diplomatic channels with the human government to discuss mutual security concerns. The HFY Crystalline Collective offered exclusive mining rights to their richest systems in exchange for a non-aggression pact with humanity. They had never offered such terms to any other species before. Even the proud Aquarians who lived in the deep oceans of their water world sent envoys to request meetings with human representatives. These were the same aliens who had refused to even acknowledge human diplomats as equals just months before. Commander Dongmin received new orders to patrol the border regions, where human civilians might face attack. His ship was now part of a fleet that had been hidden in plain sight for generations. Cargo haulers revealed themselves as destroyers. Research vessels turned out to be carriers loaded with fighter craft. The message was spreading throughout the galaxy. Humans had not been serving as diplomats because they were weak. They had been keeping the peace because they were strong enough to end any war instantly. The aliens had mistaken mercy for weakness and patience for submission. Now they were learning the difference. In the ruins of Trading Post Harmony, a small memorial beacon was placed among the debris. It broadcast a simple message in 47 different alien languages. Here died 47 Humans who wanted only to live in peace. Their deaths will not be forgotten. Their killers have been answered. The galaxy had pushed humanity too far and discovered what had been sleeping beneath 3 centuries of diplomatic service. It was not the gentle shepherds the aliens had grown comfortable with. It was something much more dangerous. It was humanity unleashed. President Tae-hyun stood at the window of his office in the presidential palace on Earth, looking out at the night sky that now held a very different meaning. 6 months had passed since the coalition defeat, and the galaxy had transformed beyond recognition. Where once there had been chaos and war, there was now an uneasy peace enforced by the quiet threat of human power. The stars looked the same, but everything else had changed. Trade ships moved along routes approved by human traffic controllers. Alien governments sent regular reports to Earth about their military activities. The same species that had once dismissed humans as weak servants now waited patiently for permission to resolve their disputes. Defense Minister Hyok entered the office, carrying the daily reports from across human space. The Zenthari Republic has agreed to our final terms. He announced full reparations for every human civilian they killed, plus the surrender of their 3 largest military bases. The Makan Federation is offering us exclusive rights to their antimatter production facilities in exchange for protection from Kalari raids. And the Vorthan's President Tae-hyun asked, without turning from the window still negotiating, "But their position grows weaker every day," Minister Hyuk replied. "Without human mediation, their traditional enemies are forming alliances against them. The Ashvari have blockaded their main trade routes. The Aquarians have cut off their water supply shipments. They will surrender within days." It was remarkable how quickly 300 years of diplomatic relationships had been replaced by something more basic: fear. The galaxy had learned that humanity's role as peacekeeper had not been assigned by some higher authority. It had been chosen. And when humans chose to stop keeping peace, they proved exceptionally good at making war. Ambassador Ji-won, who had started this transformation with her simple announcement at the Galactic Council, now served as humanity's primary representative to what remained of the alien governments. The great council chamber that had once buzzed with dozens of arguing voices now held respectful silence whenever she spoke. The old system failed, she explained to a gathering of alien ambassadors, because it assumed humans would always sacrifice their own interests for galactic stability. "We are willing to maintain peace, but from now on, that peace will be maintained on human terms." The terms were surprisingly reasonable, which somehow made them more frightening to the alien species. Humans did not demand slavery or tribute. They simply required acknowledgement of human authority in all interstellar affairs. Trade would continue, conflicts would be resolved, and civilization would progress. But it would all happen under the watchful eyes of a species that had proven they could end any world that opposed them. Captain Hanul, now promoted to admiral, commanded the human fleet that patrolled the former neutral zones. His ships were no longer disguised as harmless vessels. They flew openly as warships, broadcasting their true nature to anyone who might see them. The message was clear. Humanity was no longer hiding its strength, where alien species had once depended on human arbitration. To resolve disputes, they now competed to offer humanity tribute in exchange for protection. The irony was not lost on Admiral Hanul. The galaxy had treated humans like servants for so long that when humans finally asserted dominance, the aliens naturally fell into subservient roles. A typical day for Admiral Hanul involved receiving offers from alien governments. The Skylords wanted to give humanity mining rights to their 3 richest asteroid belts. The insect hive minds offered to share their biological engineering secrets. The crystalline Ashvari promised exclusive access to their energy manipulation technology. All of these offers came with the same unspoken message: please do not destroy us. On Mars, Governor Jamin managed the largest alien refugee population in human space. Over 2 million beings from dozens of species had fled to human territory, seeking protection from the wars and chaos that had consumed their home regions. They lived in carefully monitored settlements, working in human industries and following human laws. The refugees were grateful in ways that the old alien governments had never been. They understood that humans could have simply closed their borders, and let the galaxy burn instead. Humanity had opened refugee camps and provided medical care and even job training programs. A group of young Kalari approached Governor Jamin in his office. They had been born in human space and spoke perfect human language. "Sir," they said, "we want to join the human military service. We want to help protect the peace, Governor." Jamin studied the eager faces before him. These aliens had grown up seeing humans as protectors rather than servants. They represented something new in galactic history, a generation that respected rather than dismissed human authority. "You understand that human military service means following human orders without question?" "Yes, sir," the lead, Kalari replied. "We understand human orders keep the galaxy safe. Our parents told us stories about the old days when everyone was always fighting. We do not want to go back to those times. The integration of alien refugees into human society was proceeding better than anyone had expected. The newcomers were eager to prove their loyalty and grateful for the protection they received. They worked hard, learned human customs, and raised their children to respect human values. Back on Earth, Intelligence Director Nari monitored the communication networks that connected the galaxy to itself. The chatter had changed dramatically from the old days. Instead of endless arguments and threats, the alien channels now carried requests for permission and reports on compliance with human regulations. The Galactic Council still existed, but it had become little more than a forum for aliens to present their problems to human representatives. The council members no longer debated or argued. They simply waited to hear what humanity had decided. Director Nari compiled her daily report for President Taehyun. "All major alien governments have submitted their quarterly compliance reports," she announced. 3 minor species have requested permission to expand their territory. The Zenthari want to establish a new colony in the Outer Rim, but they are waiting for human approval. President Taehyun reviewed the reports while sipping tea from a cup made of crystalline material, gifted by the Ashvari. Everything the aliens did now required human permission, or at least human awareness. The species that had once operated as independent powers now functioned more like regional administrators in a human empire. The most surprising development was how much the aliens seemed to prefer this new arrangement. Without the constant threat of war hanging over them, trade had increased by 400%. Scientific cooperation had reached levels never seen before. Art and culture were flourishing as species no longer spent all their resources on military preparations. A message arrived from the Outer Rim territories. A new species had been discovered by exploration teams. They were called the Wanderers, and they had just achieved faster than light travel. The message was asking for instructions on how to make contact. President Taehyun smiled as he drafted the reply. "Tell them to send a single ship to Earth unarmed. We will explain how things work in this galaxy," as he prepared for sleep in his residence. President Taehyun reflected on the strange path that had led to this moment. Humanity had tried for centuries to be the galaxy diplomatic conscience, only to be dismissed as weak facilitators. Now they had become the supreme authority through the simple act of stopping their efforts to keep everyone else peace. The galaxy had wanted to see what would happen without human mediation. Now they knew without human restraint holding everyone back, the aliens had nearly destroyed themselves. Within months they were begging for the same human protection they had once mocked. The talks had collapsed, but from their ruins had risen something the galaxy had never seen before. A peace enforced not by negotiation, but by the quiet certainty that any species that broke that peace would face consequences beyond their ability to survive. Humanity no longer asked for respect, they simply expected it. And in that expectation a new order had been born, one where the gentle shepherds had revealed themselves as the apex predators they had always been. The galaxy was finally at peace. It was just not the kind of peace anyone had expected. Captain Hanel walked through the long, bright hallways of the Galactic Council station. His boots made soft sounds on the smooth metal floor as he moved toward the big windows that showed the dark space outside. 2 huge fleets of alien ships floated in the blackness, facing each other like angry animals ready to fight. The Vorten ships looked like giant metal spears with glowing red lights. The Kalari vessels were round and covered in sharp spikes that sparkled with blue energy. Both groups had enough weapons to destroy entire planets, and they were all pointed at each other. Hunnell stopped at the largest window and pressed his hand against the cold glass. He had seen this same scene too many times before. Different alien races, different ships. Same stupid fight over things that did not matter. Behind him, Ambassador Jiwan sat at a curved desk reading reports on her tablet. Her long black hair fell over her shoulders as she shook her head in frustration. She had been working for 18 hours straight trying to stop another galactic war from starting. The room they were in was bigger than most houses back on Earth. The walls were made of white metal that seemed to glow with soft light. Alien writing covered screens everywhere showing trade agreements, shipping routes, and military positions. The air smelled clean but felt heavy like before. A thunderstorm. Jiwan looked up from her tablet and rubbed her tired eyes. The Vorthans are claiming the Kalari stole mining rights to 3 asteroid belts, she said. Her voice sounded flat and worn out. The Kalari say they have owned those belts for 2,000 years. Hanul turned away from the window. Same old story, he said. The big aliens fight over rocks and metal while their people suffer. They expect us humans to fix everything like we always do. For 300 years, humans had been the peacemakers of the galaxy. When the fish, like Aquarians, fought with the bird. Like Skylords, humans stepped in to stop the wars. When trade disputes turned violent, humans found ways to make deals that kept everyone happy. When entire star systems threatened to destroy each other, humans sat at tables for months working out agreements. But something was changing. The alien races were getting more demanding and more rude. They treated human diplomats like servants instead of equals. They acted like humans owed them peace, keeping services just because humans were good at it. The worst part was how they talked about humans when they thought. No one was listening. The Vorthans called humans weak. The Kalari said humans were only good for paperwork. The Zenthari laughed and said humans were too soft to understand real power. Jiwan stood up and walked to another window that showed the Kalari fleet. Her reflection looked tired in the glass. These aliens have no idea what they are doing, she said. If shooting starts here, it will spread everywhere. The whole galaxy will be at war within months. Hanul joined her at the window. What if we let them fight? What if we just walked away and let them solve their own problems? The words hung in the air like a dangerous weapon. Jiwan looked at him with wide eyes. The idea was so simple and so terrible that neither of them had ever said it out loud before. We cannot do that, she whispered. Billions of people will die. They are going to die anyway, Hanul said. His voice was calm, but his hands were shaking slightly. Look at them out there. They have weapons that can crack planets. They hate each other so much they cannot even talk without us in the room. How long can we keep stopping wars for people who think we are their servants? 3 hours later, the morning peace talks began in the Great Council chamber. The room was shaped like a bowl, with seats rising up in circles. Representatives from 47 different alien species sat in their special chairs designed for their different body types. The Vorthans sat on one side of the chamber. Their leader, High Chancellor Vex, was 8 feet tall with gray skin and 6 fingers on each hand. His red eyes glowed with anger as he spoke about Kalari crimes. The Kalari sat across from them. Their speaker was called the Voice of Storms, and her blue-scaled skin changed colors when she got upset. Right now, she was bright purple with rage as she listed Vorthan attacks on her people. In the center of the chamber sat the human delegation. Just 12 people in simple dark suits, while hundreds of aliens argued around them for 3 centuries. This had been the pattern. Aliens fighting humans solving. Ambassador Jiwan stood up to speak and the chamber grew quiet. Everyone knew that, when humans talked, wars either ended or got much worse. She had prepared a careful speech about compromise and understanding. She had charts showing how both sides could benefit from sharing the asteroid belts. She had months of research proving that the disputed territory was big enough for everyone. But then, High Chancellor Vex interrupted her. Humans, he said with a voice like grinding metal. You are here to serve the galaxy, not to lecture your betters. We Vorthans have conquered star systems while your species was still living in caves. Leave military matters to those who actually fight wars. Chamber erupted in laughter from the Vorthan side. Several other alien species joined in making sounds that might have been amusement. The Kalari remained silent, but their skin colors showed they agreed with the insult. Jiwon felt something break inside her. It was not anger exactly. It was more like a door closing on 300 years of patient service. She looked around the chamber at all the alien faces. Many of them were smiling in cruel ways. She walked back to her seat and sat down. The other human delegates looked at her with confusion. They expected her to respond to the insult with diplomatic words about working together. Instead, Jiwon picked up her tablet and began typing a message. The message was short and simple, but it would change everything. When she finished typing, she stood up again. The chamber had returned to its usual chaos of aliens arguing and threatening each other. None of them were paying attention to the small human woman in the center of the room. Jiwon activated the chamber voice system and spoke in a clear, calm voice that reached every corner of the great room. The human diplomatic corps is withdrawing from all active negotiations, effective immediately. She said, "We are suspending our mediation services indefinitely. You are welcome to resolve your differences among yourselves." The chamber fell silent so fast it was like someone had turned off sound itself. Hundreds of alien eyes stared at the 12 humans sitting calmly in their chairs high. Chancellor Vex was the first to recover from shock. "You cannot be serious," he said. "You humans live to serve the galaxy. It is your purpose." Jiwon looked directly at him. "Our purpose," she said, "is whatever we choose it to be. Good luck with your worries." Walked toward the exit, followed by the other human delegates. Behind them, the chamber exploded into noise as alien species that had depended on human peace, keeping for centuries, suddenly found themselves alone with their enemies. As the humans left the station and boarded their transport ship, Hanul looked back at the two fleets still facing each other in space. Soon they would start shooting, and when they did, the galaxy would finally see what happened when humans stopped caring about everyone else's problems. The ship pulled away from the station and jumped to faster than light speed, carrying the humans back toward Earth. None of them knew that they had just lit a fuse that would burn across the entire galaxy.